That's what I got maybe.
Yep.
Right.
All right, I'd like to call to order the planning and zoning meeting. If I can do a roll call.
Brian Sinding, P and Z.
Structures.
We have quorum tonight. Unfortunately, Nate Versoda is, having some trouble. He's, battling cancer, so we're reaching out to him, so he wasn't able to make it here tonight. We don't need quorum because we are not voting on anything. It's just a refresher for the city council that follows. If we could stand up and do the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So this is old business to deal with Grant Park CAPTA update. Is where we're starting at is November. We submitted a, that we can get things moving and back up the stuff and meet all the requirements and regulations and ordinances. We have 4 items in that agreement that are required to be met. The first one is a performance bond, which should have been in place prior to the development even being started due to the ordinances and the regulations and subdivisions. The second is the detention pond that needs to be on the northwest corner of the property. We have already. Then the next was the fire flow analysis with connecting 6th and 7th Street. And then the city is doing the 4th to 5th Street part of that project. And then the third item is bring all the erosion control and fixing all the damage to property due to the failure to do the erosion control by the SWIP forms required. We're here tonight just to refresh this with the city council so that they can go over it in old business. And that will be it for that tonight.
Is there anything you missed?
Well, a couple of things.
Sorry.
Oh, no, yeah, you're fine. A couple of things that are worth pointing out. The memorandum that you also have from ISG dated today identifies the projected cost, estimated cost. And again, these are estimated costs of the engineering firm ISG, which is representing the city, to address the fire flow analysis and water main movement, the detention detention basin at the northwest corner of the development, and the erosion control estimates. And Mr. Heim also attached his November 9 memorandum, which was sent to Grant Park's lawyers and also to Banner Associates, which identifies the reason for the fire flow analysis, water main requirements, the reasons for the detention pond being needed, the necessity of the erosion control. And actually, Justin Heim did a really good job of the timeline of events with respect to the DANR. And also there's an admonition on the second to the last page of the memorandum that these are the deficiencies that need to be addressed prior to resuming construction. And again, this is dated November 9 of last year. And then at the bottom, Justin Heim was just summarizing that a reminder to the developer that maintenance of the streets are the responsibility of the developer until acceptance and approval by the city, which documented previous correspondence that went on for a few months. Said maintenance includes snow removal during the winter months. City of Baltic is willing to provide snow removal services within the development for the upcoming winter, at a rate agreed upon by the developer in the city. So that's the memorandum you have. No response from the developer to that. This is the draft development agreement that was submitted to Grant Park's lawyer of last year. No response. The response was the lawsuits that were filed on November 23. So obviously, the point of all this is to have a 100% transparent process communicated to the citizens of Baltic as to the specific requirements that the city outlined, how many, 4 months ago? More than 4 months ago. So basically, we've lost an entire winter because of Grant Park Capital wanting to initiate lawsuits to resolve all these issues rather than negotiate. And I think it's also important that the owner of Grant Park Development has not once since May, sat down with members of the council here to try to negotiate these issues. He called for a meeting with the mayor months ago and said, let's meet without lawyers. And so Mayor McIsaac and Mr. Hefty met. And actually they ended up quoting her comments in the lawsuit that was filed, which was supposed to be a meeting without lawyers. So it ended up just being submitted in the litigation. But as you know, the judge has dismissed the 2 lawsuits. The third one is still pending. But the point of all of this is to be transparent and informational. You can that the council appointed last October to draft this. And so this has been sitting on somebody's desk for all this time. It's a standard document. It contains standard covenants for the proper development of a subdivision. And here's the engineering analysis. So if someone wants to criticize the city for providing for fire flow analysis and water main roofing so that there's adequate water pressure in the development, well, you can take this up with ISG. You can read ISG's engineering estimates. You can read Banner's response. And I think there's 6 to 8 memos that were exchanged from between August and November. And then when this was sent, there was no more communication from Grant Park until the day before Thanksgiving, when process servers were in Baltic looking for the mayor and the council members to serve with lawsuit papers the day before Thanksgiving. So that's what we have to deal with. And anyone, any member of the public is welcome to comment and weigh in, send emails, make telephone calls. Have absolutely no, there's no agenda here other than to just lay out what the facts are and let people decide for themselves. Well, and Ed is just commenting too that despite the memo that was sent on November 9 of 2022, on December 21, Grant Park asked the judge for a restraining order to force the city to accept the Grant Park development and to remove the snow. And I think you know that the judge denied that. But the point is that if the developer is having difficulties, he's just not paying attention to the communications from the city, which were made in good faith. So the city's not accepted the development. The judge acknowledged that. I have a 50-page transcript if you're interested. Send me an email, call my office. I'll email it to you. Happy to do that. There's a transcript of the February 14 hearing and the arguments, and there's the March 9 rulings that the judge made from the bench, and I'm happy to. In fact, maybe those are posted on the website.
They may be on the website. I have to double check, but I think I got those on the website. I'm not sure.
Okay, so
With that being said, the planning and zoning will come to adjournment. If we get a motion,
well, there's no quorum.
well, we don't, so we don't have a motion, so.
You guys just say, yeah.
Well,
So-
Peace out.
Okay, for the purposes of digital, I'm gonna apologize to all you people online because I'm gonna need you to get out of this meeting and go into the next one. So that way we keep our data lines straight. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording on this, and then I'll meet you on the other side in the next meeting. If you want to.